Thank you. A very good evening to each one of you. How are you doing? Yeah, good, thank you. Thanks for the answer. We know you were awake. All right, so in the morning we spoke about, from the first session, I've been taking notes, Indian economy moving to about $7 trillion in the next 10 years. And retail has evolved, like he said, that, to thrive, in fact, to survive, we all need to innovate. We're going to talk about innovation and how it impacts profitability. I think I'm going to start with a line. As kids, we were told necessity is the mother of invention. And then the dialogue today has moved to whatever you're doing, there must be a better way of doing it. So innovate it, right? We have a great panel, and this panel comes from all functions of retail. We have somebody from design. We have people from a high-intent purchase, which is jewelry, to Max, which is Easybuy, which is a value retail format. We have representation of Indian wear fashion, and we have representation of women's wear fashion. So it's a great panel, and I'd like you all to please ready your questions, which we'll have in the last 5 minutes. I'll quickly like you guys to introduce yourself, and then we can move on to the questions. Yeah, we'll start with you, Sandeep.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Sandeep Pal. I am currently heading this brand called Tasva, which is a premium ethnic wear brand from the house of ABFRL. It's a joint venture between ABFRL and Tarun Talyani. Pleasure to be here.
Good evening. This is Anand Aiyer. I head Easybuy, which is part of Max division. And this format we launched around 7 years back. It's, if you remove 2 years of COVID, it's like 5 years kind of a thing. And I think the format was largely driven to get opportunities in the smaller market that we spoke in the morning. And I think we've been expanding and innovating. Because when we say about innovation, I think we keep talking about the product, but I think in the value space, you need to innovate also in many areas. As we speak, I will share some of my insights. Thank you.
Good evening. This is Manish Podar from the House of Rare, the fashion house which launched 2 brands in India, Rare Rabbit and Rareism. And nice to be here. Let's see how we head with such day.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I am Gopa Kumar, CEO of Bhima Jewels. We are a 98-year-old brand with a legacy, and predominantly we operate in the south, all the states of the south, and also we have some presence in UAE. Happy to be here and to share my thoughts on this topic.
Thank you.
Hi, I am Revathi, Chief Design Officer at Titan. I look after a very interesting portfolio of brands across various businesses. Yeah, looking forward to contribute to this forum.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dru Bokra. I'm the country manager for Forever New. And we are a bridge to luxury brand operating out of Melbourne, Australia. And we have a headquarters in Gurgaon. We have about 45 COCO stores and about 60 shop-in-shops in the country.
All right, thank you. So I think what we'll start with is that the definition of innovation itself has changed. From the wheel being the biggest invention till date, we moved on to ChatGPT, which wrote an email yesterday. So, a $1 million payment came through for one of the clients. Now, that is where the spread of innovation is. And I'd like to start with you, Revathi, because, it all starts at the product. At the end of the day, that's what we sell. But before that, I'd like to throw some numbers here. Titan made 951 crores of profit in the last quarter, and yet it missed the estimate of the street. Now, does that impact design in any way? Does that impact innovation in any way? And do you think about that from, how do you include profitability with design?
Great. Good evening, everybody. I think we're starting with a very interesting question and really putting me on the spot. Yes, of course. At Titan, design is really at the core of every business. And if you're asking me that if it does put pressure on me, it does. Well, in each of our business, design is a key enabler. Apart from bringing in product differentiation and brand imagery, design is equally responsible for both the top line and the bottom line. So for us to continuously, design something which is relevant, which is differentiated, which brings in more and more consumers, the buzzword for that is truly innovation. And I'm going to be talking more about innovation, which is really the key enabler in the organization. And it is across, whether it is process or products or business models alike. So, there goes a saying, there's a very interesting saying which says that there are dreamers there are doers. And what the world needs most today are dreamers that do. And that's really, I think, the space for innovation.
Wow.
And let me talk to you about the perspective from Titan point of view. When you look at innovation, the key words, which are very, very important for us. The first one is pioneering. Pioneering across processes, products, business models, to deliver elevating consumer experiences. That is a very crucial word. To create significant value and impact. So this is really like a guardrail, or so to say, a guiding philosophy across the company, irrespective of innovation. It could be across any business. It could be the brand targeting the mass market to the highest level of brand, like a Zoya, which is reaching out to the luxury segment. This is really the guiding philosophy which guides us when we look at innovation. Since this topic is all related to innovation and about profitability, I feel it's very important for every organization to have some key enablers for innovation, to be consistent and to be able to innovate and bring innovation as part of the culture. The first one, I would say, the culture of the organization itself. Wherein it's non-hierarchical, where people are allowed to think freely. You could, do things, fail, yet come back and do things. So this is the mindset of the organization is a very, very critical aspect for any kind of innovation to thrive in an organization. The second and the most important one is all about people. Innovation thrives and survives when there is a heterogeneity. I mean, the same set of people cannot really think differently and innovate. So bringing a cross-functional team, bringing different kinds of people together to solve problems, the wicked problems, the so-called wicked problems, really helps in making innovation happen. The third and the most important thing for innovation is also about the processes. Innovation is not just having a great idea, out-of-the-box thinking, but in finally, converting it into something tangible, something which can bring value. So processes to pick up even the smallest of the thoughts, the new fresh ideas, to converting them, to fleshing them out, to all of that. So processes that enable. And the last and the most important thing is about the strategy. Questioning what is the purpose of that innovation. Is it short-term innovation? Is it long-term innovation? About the, what is the innovation pipeline of the company and things like that. So these are quite a few of those, enablers which I believe are really responsible for bringing that culture of innovation, and it is very much related to design innovation. Okay. So if this is not prevailing, it is impossible to continuously innovate. It could be, as I said, it could be a product design, it could be the retail design, it could be anything. But innovation as a mindset is what is very, very critical. I would just like to summarize in 1 minute, maybe a very complex process, and I'll put it very simply. That as you see across the businesses, Titan functions, which is watches, jewelry, eyewear, fragrances, apparel, saris, all of this, who's really at the core? You, consumers. So, so the whole consumer centricity piece is very, very important for us. Continuously understanding them, figuring out what they are, their expectation, their needs, and all of that. So that is one very critical aspect of figuring out the whole innovation strategy. The second is, of course, looking at trends. All of us are impacted by trends. The mega trends, the meta trends, the mega trends, the macro, micro, geographical, and category trends. Understanding all of them and putting all those two together to figure out if there is a white space for innovation. Then questioning the need for innovation. And then, of course, figuring out the solution, conceptualizing it, and then going ahead, meeting the partners, making it happen, and finally, after all of various trials, launch it in the market. And I would like to just sum it up and say, after all these effort, if it goes into the market and really bombs, coming out of it with a big smile and saying that it's okay. Perfect. Better luck tomorrow. I think that's innovation.
So when you focus on consumer, you make 951 crores of profit. Is that what you say? Whether it misses the street estimate or not. Thank you so much, Revathi. All right, we'll move on to Anand next. I think, Anand, how do you, you come from a value retail format. This is, jewelry and very different. And we all talked about, you spoke about in the morning that there's a lot of opportunity in the smaller markets, right? So is Bharat more profitable than India, as we spoke in the morning? And second, how do you innovate for Bharat? How is it different from innovating for India?
Yeah, I think we all know there's a huge opportunity, and we have to, innovate at every level. Because when we conceptualized this format, 7 years back, we already had Max, which was close to 12,000 square foot store, profitable, and the challenge was that how do we penetrate to the smaller markets. And as in Landmark Group, profitability, the key word that we are part of this session, that profitability is important. So Landmark always believes on profitability. So we didn't want Max moving into smaller town, because then the scale, the operational cost will not be viable at that point of time from a small town strategy. So hence this format was created, and we had to innovate on all four P's. We know product, process, place, as well as promotion, right? So all the four P's are important from a brand point of view when you create the brand. So from a product point of view, I think Landmark, we are always passionate on product. Even at the pricing that we do, where we wanted to ensure that when the consumer sees the product and the price, they should be delighted. No, they should feel that, wow, this pricing, this product. So we put a lot of efforts, and for that we have created a completely ecosystem, which we call as fiber to fashion, right? Where we had to build a completely new vendor base, right from MSME, entrepreneurs who had some 50, 60 machines, who had like-minded minds, and then they wanted to grow with us. And we supported them through a Sahyog program, and we ensured that we give them the know-how, we give them the training, give them a commitment that the machine will be running. And these are all our dedicated vendors who are working with us, and that's how we created this ecosystem, which ensures that they deliver great value to the consumer at a delightful product. That's one piece which is very, very important, because at the pricing that we do, it's important that it has to be profitable also. We cannot work with a lower margin, because we all know retail costs are quite high, right? The second part that we had to work was innovation on the place. To reduce your cost of operations, we cannot operate with a 10, 15,000 square. We have to make an express model. So we've created an express model, 5, 6,000 square foot format, having all the categories that Max is having. It's a family store. And as we speak today, we have the highest contribution coming from kids. 24% contribution come from kids. And it's well balanced. Women's is around 32%, and men is around 35%. So all categories we well represent. So how do we create a curation? So the small market, depending on the market, Tamil Nadu tastes are different, Kerala tastes are different, colors are different, the fit requirements are different. So we cannot have one product, one merchandise sent to all the stores. So we do a little bit of curation in terms of our range planning for the different markets, because metro reacts differently, small town, definitely we need to, today they are very aspirational. I think online has reached a lot of smaller markets. So they are very aspirational, they want fashion, but you need to little innovate and adapt as per the market requirement. So that's something that we have done. And I think, so like that process is another area that we need to do. We have to keep it our cost structure nimble. We need to ensure that we keep the lean model. We call it the lean cost model, right? Whether it's an operational team. So today we are close to, as we speak, we are close to 140 stores, but we have not expanded all over the place, because today there is retail space available across the country, but we focus on South for last 5, 6 years, 7 years now, because because in our kind of product, cost is important. If with the kind of PPV that we have, we need to have a warehouse, which is regional warehouse. We need to have a sales team, operations team. And if you are to spread all over the place, it will not be viable. So we've ensured that cluster-based expansion, focusing on the 5 states, and ensuring that we are completely penetrating deeper into these markets, and then moving to the next market. So now, last week I was in Indore. We opened 2 stores, one in the Phoenix and other in the Rajendra Nagar. So as we are expanding, we are looking at cost, product, and innovating at every level to deliver value to the customer. That's what we are doing. Yeah.
Thank you, Anand. So we moved from product innovation to discussing about supply chain innovation and how do we make sure that you penetrate one market and move to the other. Next up, we go to Bhima. Bhima as well as Gopa, I'd like to ask you, a 98-year-old legacy brand with the Bhima boy that we spoke about. And you also spoke in the morning that, technology you're trying to bring tepidly. right? So how do you innovate in a 98-year-old legacy company, number one? And number two, is there a technology ROI that you're looking at from an innovation perspective? Is there an ROI to the innovation?
Right. Thanks for that and insightful points from both of you all. So for us at Bhima Jewels, right, the legacy and the lineage of 98 years is there. And we are a very profitable company in that sense. And to keep it profitable, and even if we do any initiatives, profitability should be just around the corner. So in case we don't see it hitting the numbers that we're looking at, be it expansion, technology, or whatever, we are able to course correct and get back to profitability. And that's really where you have a more matured theme of, looking at ideas and executing them well. Bhima is known for good execution, and we follow a simple equation, and we keep it really simple. There's not too much of jargon there. It's about value creation. At the end of the day, it's all about value creation. And the value creation equation really is, benefits by cost, right? Benefits need to keep increasing in whatever that you do, and it needs to be stepped up in a manner that the costs can sustain and can hold itself up. And wherever you need to pull up your socks in that sense, cost is what you look at and take it out of the equation. So that's how we really look at innovation and profitability and ensuring that our numbers are met. And during the COVID years, we've grown at high double digits. That's good for us. Now, coming back in terms of technology, look, there are a lot of technology out there and a lot of vendors. Jewelry as a category is not really well understood. Something that has worked in food and grocery and fashion may not necessarily work in the jewelry space because jewelry is, there's a lot of calculation, intricacies, and the metal prices change every day. And the consumer segments are also so different in that sense. Most of the e-commerce that you see that is happening is on investment and bullion purchase and not really fashion and adornment, the business that we are in. If you want to do investment, then you might as well pick up digital gold or something else and be comfortable with that. It's fashion that needs to sell, and that's where we are really focusing on technology. So for us, a 98-year-old company with some of our managers are operating stores for 25, 30 years now, right? They're managers in these stores, and they know the consumers very well, and they have their own databases. And consumers, their children, their grandchildren, they would all come and shop at Bhima. An average ticket size in Bhima is in the region of 60,000 rupees. That's what we really retail. So for me to, put in processes, technology, a lot of boxes out there and things that we need to really, which will bring value. But for my team to understand that the change management which it requires really puts a lot of effort. So learning and development and introducing them to how it will really benefit. So again, coming back to the equation, in terms of benefit for the organization and benefit for the individual or the stakeholders operating the store, and the fact that somewhere the cost can pair off, and this will give good results for us. So some of the things that we did during the COVID time was we bought in virtual try-ons into our stores. So that was one digital initiative that we took, and all our new stores come in with a virtual. It is not just one of those fancy things in a corner there. There is a person deputed for it. And, young consumers who come into our stores are, taken to this particular zone, experience zone, and they really try this jewelry on, and then there's a social media connect, and, those are the kind of things that we do. We also introduced a digitally based personal shopper service. And I must tell you, if you don't have a personal shopper service and if you can really afford to put some good people on it, you must do it, because 10x is the kind of ticket size of a person who does personal shopper service, because they're really able to curate the assortment, meet that particular need of the consumer, be it engagement or wedding purchase or whatever it is, and a personal shopper service which is digitally, done and assigned, and the consumer is then received and taken through the whole consumer journey. That's the other thing that we do. One more sharp focus that we have is on our NPS, and we diligently follow that. It's a 90-year-old legacy company, and I had to actually take people through what NPS is and how it works. And I remember NPS in the food and grocery segment, and let me not talk about that. Everybody's unhappy there. But in this segment, we are at 96 now in terms of NPS. I think it is probably out there as one of the best, in the industry maybe. However, we look at all the comments and we drill down to what are the consumers talking about, major things in terms of assortment, in terms of service, in terms of our pricing. And all of these things are again through technology, data insights, and then showing value to the store manager or the business manager, as we call them, that this is the lever that you really need to focus on and keep razor focus on all of this. And my promoters, what they tell me is that, don't forget you're a jeweler first, and you also happen to be a business. Of course, it's profitable, so, it helps. But yeah, really for us, it has been, and also processes. Coming from so-called modern retail to a traditional retail space, it would have been easy for me to slap in big SOP manuals into my stores. But I noticed that, for me to succeed in this space and to expand profitably, the thing to do is make your back end extremely sharp and process oriented, and keep your front end extremely entrepreneurial. That is what clicks in this category, and that is what is helping us maintain this double-digit growth and this profitability.
Thank you, Gopa. So value creation is benefit by cost is my key takeaway from there. We move from there to Dhruv, and you spoke about people, right? Dhruv, how important, apart from the innovation in a company versus innovation in a leader, right? You go to a lot of these trips where you try to re-innovate yourself on a personal level. Is that linked to an organizational profitability in any way? Do you see any value in that?
I see, on hindsight, when I look back on many of the solo expeditions and the longest one that I took from the Arctic to the Andes in 2016, I'll just spend a couple of minutes providing a context, because it's like trying to encapsulate a 400-day journey into 5 minutes. But I'll take 2 minutes to give that context. So I was an Adidas regular guy doing regular cycling, but I had this dream. The dreaming and the doing converged in 2016, where I'd never been to Alaska before in my life with my bicycle and 40 kilos of gear. I started from the northernmost point of Alaska, which is Prudhoe Bay, and I cycled down to Peru over a period of 400 days, solo, unsupported. Along the way, out of the 399, 400 odd nights, I think 50% was slept in a tent, in rain, in snowfall, in the heat of the Bahar Desert in Mexico. So ate with the homeless people in the US, or met with drug lords in Mexico and things like that, or El Salvador. I think those are all experiences which I did not could not imbibe till I came back. In the sense, I experienced them, I felt humbled by them, but when I came back, I felt my life had changed. And when I wrote my book, that articulated a lot of feelings also. And when I then restarted my retail journey with Forever New, COVID broke. And it's important to understand the context. We are a bridge to luxury brand, struggling on some parameters, including finances. So my job was to obviously turn the brand around. When I joined in 2019, I came with that mandate. And here was COVID staring at me 7 months later. My team was primarily 60% women, many of them young mothers. This was something they had never experienced before. The average age of the team is about 27, 28. I tipped the scales to a higher average at 54. But at the end of the day, they looked up to me to steer them through the crisis day in and day out, from setting up emergency response teams, which we all did, but to ensuring that we had enough cash to pay salaries at the end of the month. In a category nobody wanted to indulge in. I mean, it was survival for mankind, for humanity in India. Nobody wanted to wear dresses to step out. Where would they step out to? So there was a whole lot of survival strategy in place. And everything that I picked up subliminally in my mind, subconsciously on that long 400-day journey, just kicked into action. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, resilience, things like grit, the motivation of my team, the morale of my team. I think all those skill sets came into play, and the situation demanded innovation from us. Innovation in business. In a product category nobody wanted to even talk about. And Australia said, no social media for 4 months or 3 months. We want to empathize with our consumer's journey to the pain she's going through. And we completely endorse that. So how would you keep the business rolling in? The inventory was piling up. So we did many things. Born came out of a sense to survive and do well, and to actually spearhead the brand forward, because we couldn't be sitting still. We started many things like personal shopping, home shopping, virtual shopping. We were the first fashion brand, to start omni business with Myntra way back in December 2020, in the women's category. We were the first women's brand to start omni with our own e-commerce channel at a time when we didn't even have an IT head at that point in time. So these are all things that started off because of a need to survive. The second thing was, values like empathy, kindness, compassion. So much of it that I received on the journey from complete strangers are the values that I think I kind of fortified and I brought back into my workplace with respect to understanding employees' problems, whether it was providing for, a safety net for them, for their families. We have our own stores, so we had a fairly large workforce as well, spread out from, Mumbai to almost till Imphal. So we had to take care of everybody and carry everybody with us. So that was a very big challenge. The kind of processes we put into place to look at inventory, allocations, getting the products in from Australia, from China, wherever they were coming in from, was another big challenge. So overall, I would say one of the few things that stood out very strongly, which I would say has brought back from each journey that I undertake, whether it's an expedition in Himalaya or this one, is the importance of overcoming your fear, of developing the important traits of grit and resilience, and the ability to take risks. So we took a lot of risks with the business. At one point, our home shopping was giving us 25% of our offline sales. Today, it is still 12%. We solidified our loyalty program, and we changed partners, we changed our processes, we changed platforms. The amount of tech change that happened in just a short span of 9 to 10 months was just incredible. And as a result of which, in just 2.5 years, our sales grew at 300% over 2019. Our profitability grew by 400%.
Wow.
At a time when 30% of my workforce was down with COVID at once upon a time. I mean, that was the kind of impact we had, but we pulled everybody through. So I think that whole thing of being there, having faced a lot of adversity myself, alone, I think I passed on that energy and the leadership and lifted the morale of the whole company. I think that's what really helped. And
Shall
then
I
we all
summarize
became,
it as adversity will be the mother of profitable invention?
I think adversity is the mother of invention and innovation.
Okay, thank you, Dhruv. We move on to you, Sandeep. You spoke about in the morning about the, Band Gala not being, the most comfortable, and how you are innovating on that product space. Also, with the pressure of 50% profitability number that we heard from Manevar in the morning, operating in a similar category, how do you think you link profitability with innovation?
For me, when I look at financials and how does innovation help, two big themes. One is how do you innovate to differentiate in the minds of consumer? And the second is how do you innovate to bring in efficiency so that you do the same thing at a lower cost, right? And I spoke about how do I bring in differentiation. Now, differentiation comes from my knowledge of my consumer and what problem am I solving in that consumer's life, right? And if I look at my category, we are a new brand, relatively new brand. But if I look at my category, the way a typical consumer will look at ethnic wear, they would want to buy it for a day. There is a perception that you have to suffer through the pain because you just get on and just get that day done, right? But why does it have to be that way, right? And Indian clothing, if you look at our history, it has been so good, looks so fantastic, but somebody needs to think about it differently. So at every point in time, if you wear a kurta, if the collar is stiff, it hurts your Adam's apple, right? Same happens in the Bangala. Or if the fabric is not good, it will be very stiff on your body and you can't sit for too long. And we looked at all of that, and this comes from deep conversations from consumers, talking to them constantly and saying that where can we make a difference? And that is a constant journey in my mind. That's how you differentiate. Sometimes a consumer will articulate a problem. Sometimes they will not articulate, and you need to find that problem and come up with a proposition and reimagine how things are. And at the same time, on the efficiency front, there is a lot that can be done. But what happens is sometimes we get swayed and carried away by the fad, right? But it's important that we are very clear what problem are we solving and what outcome are we seeking. Will it help me differentiate? And is that differentiation big enough for me to prioritize? B, if this process efficiency will bring me enough cost saving, because there is so much to do and you may spread yourself too thin that you get distracted at times and not get the results and get too tired in the process. So that's how I see this.
Great. So if you have clarity on the problem of what you're solving and you're focused on the output, it'll move on to Manish and innovative, right? Thank you. We move on to Manish from House of Rare. Manish, you spoke in the morning about, you saw a gap in the smartwear segment, and that's how you started your brand. And you're a firm believer of Make in India. So how do you move from Make in India to innovate in India and yet be profitable at the same time?
Firstly, innovation for me or for everyone is not once in a lifetime, once in a balance sheet episode. One has to adhere that it's a part and a philosophical approach in your DNA in the company from all aspects put forward in the company. When we started, as I mentioned in the morning, and you touched base that, we started to think that we have to make a smart line of dressing. From the name given what was circulating around in India, that it's casual or it's formal. And I said, why not the smart way? Because I was not dressing either way. Given the background that I had in exports and to be the lead designer for various brands in Europe. And I had to come back to India when I was to focus more on the country and back home, family. Innovation is what the entire DNA of our company stands on. We do not shy from innovation every day. We change our pattern and behavior not by 2 seasons that we have. We change it by every minute and every second. While the shirt is made, we decide to remove the buttons and go for another league and level. At the same time, as he mentioned, innovation does not have to be a very large change which affects cost, while designers struggle a lot to create a mammoth, not realizing that cost and profitability is going to be the next challenge once you hit on that. Articulation of innovation in your product is the second phase that we touch base upon on the senses. Our store fragrance changes season by season, what you smell into our stores. The product line and the flower arrangement in some of our store changes as well. The core aspect for profitability in my case is in smartwear is that we are the shortest time leaders in production and supply chain. We roll out, our general time frame in business is about 60 to 90 days for any style to be rolled out in production, which I'm sure even you would understand that. But we tend to roll out that within 15 days. Our supply chain and the supplier vendors interactions and collaborations is very strong. So that's another part of innovative way of keeping the raw material in stack line and readiness. Because at the end of the day, all the raw material can be consumed if you have the artistic way of demonstrating that and still showing the last year's fashion once again. It's the same story you can tell once again. The last bit, which is very important for us, is that in our company, everyone unlearns last season's performances, and we try to bring new innovative design and philosophy. We do not follow WGSN or various patterns which kind of influence colors or fashion. We believe we discuss fashion innovatively internally and say what is that we see the next group of our customers to be dressed as or to look like. And if we think it's purple or lilac, then what's the light tone of lilac for the Indian man who's conservative blue and goes to lilac? as a brand, also for most of them to know that we don't sell blue at all. It's our worst seller in our business for men. Fortunately or unfortunately, while I see you in Ash. And I am also a blue fan, but somehow it doesn't give me the numbers. And anything else than blue is acceptable and received very well by our customers. Sell-through speaks about that very well. The men in our stores, I don't know, I can't compare it too much, but whatever I hear in closed doors, with 43%, 46% repeat customer and 4 to 5 cycles a year that they visit to our stores, it speaks a lot that men are getting out there and accepting colors, which is the biggest sign of innovation. So for me to come back to this business, coming to deliver to India, the last part of your question, is that anything that we have done in our business, in our brand, from store design, store appearance, product, detailing of our product, you will enjoy the product more by wearing it. There are details inside the pants more than outside. And that's getting personalized for him, and he feeling better than ever in the other brands. So we focus, after the product prototype, we go the insides, what can be done innovatively inside as well. So Made in India for me is about the team that I address in my office on a day-to-day basis, that we are not here to just give something to them because it's okay and chalta hai, but it's about what we Indians really deserve, because we are global now and we are global. Our country and pin codes are getting closer and closer. Fashion is getting deeper, and that's the reason we all are growing everywhere in all segments of prices. And where I say that when we do small business development meet and we say, I said just check Mercedes Audi hai agar wahan, to hamara dukaan ek khul sakta hai. And ROI nikal jayega.
All right.
So in innovation, it's basically, it's a daily job, every day, every minute. And डर नहीं सकते उससे, क्योंकि अगर डर गए तो मर गए.
All right. Innovate small, innovate every day, innovate cost effectively. All right, we're up with our time, but we can just take one question from the audience for any of the panelists. No? All right, we are out of time. You can ask the questions when we are out, we're walking out. Thank you so much, everybody. You've been a great audience. Thank you so much. You're wearing blue.
Listen, everything I have is either gray, white, or blue. So,
Except the pink.
Manish, you and I are going to talk, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have one pink suit from Bestseller.
Thank you.
That's it.
They're also colorful. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. We're going to talk.